Hi boys and girls, welcome to reading. This week in reading we are starting on our new book, K.4, and we are starting today on page 27. We're going to do some work with the short and long O sounds, and then we will read part of a story after we preview some vocabulary words, okay? So now we're going to be starting on page 27, and we're going to look at these 4 sentences, and we're going to circle the words that have the short O sound and underline the words with the long O sound. Now remember, there are 2 sounds for O we're learning this week. There's the short O sound, which we learned first in kindergarten and pre-K, which is ah. So like the word dog has the short O sound, so we're circling that. It's not dog, it's dog. D, ah, g. The ah is a short O sound. Now the long O sound is O. It kind of sounds like the letter when you say the letter O. O. So the word bone has the long O sound. So we're underlining that. Okay? So it's b, o-n. It's not the short O sound, which would be bon. No, it's bone. So we need to know those 2 types of the O sound, long and short, and we're going to practice that now. Now let's go ahead and look at the rest of these sentences and look for sentences, words that have the short or long O sound. Ron is at the pond. All right. Now, did you hear there's 2 words I heard with an O sound? First one is Ron. Is that the short ah or the long O sound? That is the short O sound. R, ah, n. So we're going to circle that one. All right. Let's keep going. Ron is at the pond. Hey, there's another O sound. Is it short or long? P, ond. P, ond. It is a short O sound. So we're going to circle that one. All right. So there was 2 short ones, short O sounds, in that one. Let's keep going. Bob can dig a hole. Okay, I heard one right at the beginning, Bob. Short or long? Ah or O sound in there. B, ah, b. Bob. That is a short O sound. Okay, and then there's one more word I heard with an O sound. That goes a little bit different. Bob can dig a hole. Look, there it is. You can even see it. You see that O right in the middle. And what sound, long or short, does it make? O. O. I hear the long O sound. O, the long O sound in that one. Okay? So we're going to underline that one. Okay? Very good. Okay. One more sentence. Jill rode her bike. I heard a word with an O sound in here. Not Jill, it's rode her bike. R-o-d. O. Is that long or short? That is long. Long O sound. O sound. We're underlining that. Very good, boys and girls. Let's keep going. We're actually going to skip all the way to page 30. And we're going to take a look before we start reading our story, which is on the other side of the spread. Remember, a spread is when you open when you open a book like that. I have to fold it so you can see it right on these lessons. But this story is Cars Are Always Changing. We are talking about then and now, and things in the past and things now. And so we're going to talk about how cars have changed, and they're always changing each and every year. We're going to preview some vocabulary. So let's take a look at some of these words, and so that we know what they mean when we see them in the story. Crank. Crank. That's an interesting word, isn't it? If you look close at the picture, a crank is something that used to be on the front of a car. And I think in other types of vehicles too. But on a car, if you look close, there's a handle. Handle comes down over that license plate. That's at the front, and it's something you used to do you would turn just like that. You would crank it. Sometimes people use that form of that word, but a crank is something that would be connected to the engine, and it would help start the engine. So a crank in our story is going to be that part that helps start the engine on old cars. Radio. You probably know what that means. That's a picture of a very old radio. but a radio is something in a car today and then too. In the a long time ago in cars. Engine. That is engine. Do we know what an engine is? Yes. An engine is in a car. That's a modern, a kind of a newer looking engine. But cars have had engines and have needed engines for many, many years. Last one. CD player. Okay, CD player. That, in the picture, we see actually a CD. Now, we don't see a lot of CDs anymore, but just a few years ago, CDs were everywhere. And a CD player is a machine in a car that would play CDs. Many times they'd be in homes too, and people would walk around with CD players. But that is something in a car. And that's not a long, long time ago, but that's a few years ago. Okay? All right. So, let's take a look too. Meet the author. It says meet the author. What does an author do? Does an author paint or take the pictures in a book or write the words? The author writes the words. And this author, his name is Gary Miller. It says Gary Miller loves to hike, kayak, and fish. When he is not exploring the outdoors, you will probably find him reading a mystery novel or playing his guitar. All right, boys and girls, when we write something in a writing journal or on a piece of paper, we're an author when we write words. Okay, so there's an author, and you're an author too when you write. Now let's go ahead and start our story. We're probably not going to finish today. It's kind of a longer story, but we're going to start it. And here it is on the next page, page 31. Cars Are Always Changing, written by Gary Miller, who we just read about. I see from these pictures 2 cars. Let's try to make a prediction of what this story is going to be about based on these pictures. What do you think? That cars are changing. They don't change themselves, but over the years they look different. I think it's going to be my prediction that over the years, every year a car is kind of different from the last year over and over again. Here's a really old-timey car, a really cool car. Here's a modern car, a Prius electrical hybrid car, and this is a really cool car today. So cars are always changing. What do you think? I think the whole story is going to be about cars. Let's take a look. Next page, page 31. I'm going to fold it, but you can just keep it open as a spread, both pages. I'm going to fold it so you can see it. It says, my mother took me to the car museum. I learned a lot about cars. They are always changing. Wow, look at that car. Would you like to see that? That's in a museum. It's a really cool looking car. Wooden wheels. Wow. And wooden parts over here on the car. Next page. The first cars did not start with a key. Instead, you turned a crank. Boys and girls, there's that word. Remember that vocabulary word, crank? If I look at the picture, I see a man and his wife, and he is turning a handle. Remember that is down right in front of the license plate. That is a crank, and I see it here as well. All right. Now, we're going to take a little closer look at this page, and the question is, how did the first cars start? How did they start? And we're going to underline the words, so go ahead and get your pencil, and underline the words that tell the answer on this page in the text. The text is the words that we read. So let's look and see how did the first cars start. The first cars did not start with a key. Instead, you turned a crank. I'm going to underline these words here. You turned a crank. That is how the first cars started. Wow. That would kind of give you a workout every time you drove somewhere. Let's turn the page. We're on page 34. I'm going to fold it so you can see it. This car was made in 1913. Its engine was small. Look at that car. There's the dad and the son. Little bitty engine right there. It could not go very fast. Wow. Well, it definitely couldn't because there's no windshield. A lot of wind in your face when you went. But it looks like they're happy to even have a car. What do you think? Would you want to go to Walmart or to the mall or somewhere really fun, Six Flags, driving that car? It might take a long time. Let's keep reading. The next page. The next cars started with a key. This car is from 1921. That's the year 1921. It had a big engine. it could go fast. Wow. All right, so I see this picture here, and there's a key right there. Looks a little bit more like the cars that we have today. Look at that picture. These boys were happy to be in that car. Now, how did the next car start? So we're talking about the next cars after the very first cars that we looked at in the last couple pages. How did these cars start? I see in the text it says the next cars started with a key. They started with a key. So I'm going to underline that. They started with a key. All right. Now, boys and girls, we're going to stop right there. We're going to finish our story tomorrow. So thank you for working with me today on our short and long O sounds. And thank you for reading with me.